What's happening, everybody, and welcome to today's edition of SWACtalk. I am your tour guide, C. Wells, man, and we wrapping up this tour around the SWAC. We're going to take a trip up to Pine Bluff to talk about the Golden Lions. Like I said, I'm here, and I got my little lion cub Nala in here with me. You can't really see her. She might make an appearance, but she's not golden yet. She's white right now, so she's a little lion cub that she feels Pine Bluff is being disrespected right now. And I kind of feel the same. Pine Bluff was picked fifth in the West Division. I do not think they're gonna finish fifth. Although when you hear my prediction, you're gonna be like, "Man, C. Wells, how you gonna say they finished fifth?" But you picked them, their record to be what it is. So that's a little early tease on how I think the season gonna go. But I think this is gonna be a really good team. They have the potential to be better. But before we get into all of that, man, check out the socials. They're down on the screen as per usual. Also, don't forget if you want to support the show, you get the Cash App, $SWAC Talk. Check out the podcast, anchor.fm/SWAC We have a Pine Bluff preview there as well. You can catch it on anchor.fm or Spotify, Stitcher, Breaker, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. If you haven't done so already, man, go ahead and subscribe to the page. We're growing nicely. I really appreciate the love that everybody is showing. Wednesday, we finally get to preview an actual real live game that's going to take place. We're 6 days away from the MEAC SWAC Challenge, so we're going to preview that game on Wednesday. Thursday, we're doing a live edition of SWAC Smoke, so, man, please check that out. We're going to have a time set for you a little bit later in the week, so you can check that out. But live edition of SWAC Smoke, we got a couple things we want to talk about with recruiting and also give our predictions on the MEAC SWAC Challenge as well. So make sure to check that out. Sunday, a recap of the MEAC SWAC Challenge, and then Wednesday, a week one preview. So, hey, from Wednesday on, man, we talking real actual games that are going to take place. No more just talking. This is the last episode of pretty much of just talking season. So that's out, man. Also have a couple of things that I'm trying to work on with the guys at the FCS Reddit. So when I get some information on what we're gonna do, how we're gonna do it, feel free to check that out because I'm definitely gonna I'm basically putting on for the SWAC. So that's something that I was asked to be a part of because they see what I do. So and I'm really active on that page. So when I get more information on what that is right now, we're just planning and throwing things at the wall. So when we get an idea of what that's going to be, I'll let you know. So that's pretty much everything that's coming down the pipe. So let's get back to Pine Bluff, man. Y'all hop on in the ride, man. We're going to ride around Pine Bluff and talk about the Golden Lions. They had a very good spring, man. They were probably the surprise team of the spring. They were the surprise team of 2019, and they ended up winning the West Division in the spring. So 4-0 in the conference overall regular season. They took the loss to Alabama A&M in the conference championship. Played they were very, very sound on defense against the run. They allowed about 106 yards per game on the ground. They didn't run the ball as well as they probably could have, although they did lose a back-to-back 1,000-yard rusher in Taylor Porter. So they had about 119 yards per game rushing, excuse me. They threw for about 256 in the air per game, allowed like 240 plus in the air. Total offense, Pine Bluff, 370 yards per game. Defensively, 364 yards allowed. So as you can see, the numbers were pretty even. One of the differences, Pine Bluff had 8 interceptions on the season, 5 by Jalen Thigpen himself. Pine Bluff had 21 sacks as a defense, only allowed 6. Isaac Peppers led the team with 7.5 sacks. And, a lot of those guys are coming back, which is why I'm very confused that this team is picked to finish 5th in the division. That's just, that's disrespect for a conference, for a division champ who did not lose a lot of guys. They did lose Harry Ballard to the transfer portal, and I think Sean Steele also. But they returned Kobe Watts, Isaac Peppers, as I said before, Skylar Perry. All the receivers basically are back. Josh Wilkes, Tyron Ralph, DeJuan Miller. Those guys are back. Tyron Ralph is a hell of a return specialist. Y'all gonna say this is blasphemy, but to me, he's the SWAC Tyreek Hill, man. The dude can catch the ball, he can run. One punt return on the season for a touchdown, a kickoff return for a touchdown, preseason all SWAC return guy. He's on numerous preseason All-American lists as a return guy, and just a hell of a football player. And that's a huge weapon they have. Like I said, they have Josh Wilkes coming back. DeJuan Miller's a guy that can catch the ball well. The running game is going to be the issue, but they brought in Malik Carter from Pittsburgh. He didn't play in 2020. He had opted out and transferred to Albany, but he did not play there. So now he's coming to Pine Bluff. But he's a guy, he's a shifty guy. He is an all-purpose guy. He was brought in as a defensive back, but he played running back and receiver at Pittsburgh. He started 3 games at running back at Pitt and 1 game at receiver. Ran for about 245 on the ground, caught about 140-something yards in the air, and 2 touchdowns, including a winning touchdown against Duke in 2019. So he's a playmaker. And when you add that to a dual threat guy like Skylar Perry, that just makes the offense even more explosive. This team returns 9 starters on both sides of the ball. Mark Evans is probably one of the best offensive linemen in the SWAC. Their offensive line has been very good for the last year and a half. They only allow 6 sacks as an offense. So you're not going to get a lot of pressure on this team. Even with a running quarterback, you're not going to get a lot of pressure on this team. And that's why I'm really confused to hear that this team is being picked where they are, because they don't lack for talent. Doc Gamble's a young rising coach. He will be replacing 5 coaches on the season this year, but I feel like this team is still headed in the right direction. Now, when you look at the division itself, obviously the top half of the West Division the top couple teams in the West Division are very tough. Alcorn should be, we don't really know, obviously, but Alcorn is being predicted to win the division. Southern's being predicted to finish second. Both of those teams are division champs themselves in the past. Southern was the 2019 and 2018 West Division champ. Alcorn was the 6-time East Division champ, back-to-back SWAC champs. So that's a lot of competition in your division, but the bottom part of the division I don't think is as good. Gramblin's down, but they probably are going to come up. Prairie View is a team in flux. Offense, we don't know. Defense is good. Texas Southern still isn't over the hump yet because they haven't won a game on the field since 2018. So, this division is a mixed bag, and I think Pine Bluff should be in the middle of it at worst. But we're going to go ahead and look at the schedule and talk about what we expect from the season. Now, I will again throw out the warning, man. I'm really hyping up Pine Bluff, but the record at the end is not going to be that great. So I'm going to explain why I feel like I feel. And I really think this team will be better than even what I predict. They open up that season September 4th against Lane at home. This should be a game that Pine Bluff can get themselves going early in front of the home crowd. Get the offense going, probably get that run game going, get some points up, defense, get some stops, get some turnovers, and just play a good opening game, which I really wish a lot more people would play. If you're going to play these type of games, I wish you would play them at the beginning of the season and give yourself a W to open up the schedule. I do understand why people schedule the way they do, but I would really love more winnable games to open up the season. That's what one of the things that I really would push for. So kudos to Pine Bluff. I think they'll take care of business on that one. They get a week off early, which is really, not the best place for a week off, but they get a week off early. Then they go to Conway, Arkansas, to take on Central Arkansas. They have left from the Southland and moved on to the Atlantic Sun, I believe. And this should be an entertaining game. Central Arkansas played in the fall of 2020. They went 5-4. They played a tough game against North Dakota State. They lost to UAB by 10 points. The only game that they got blowed out in was against Arkansas State. Every other game was pretty close. They didn't run the ball that well, but they threw the ball very well. So this is going to be a game of two teams that are kind of similar offensively. Neither one of them, had really good running games. They both had pretty solid passing games. I think early right now. I want Pine Bluff to win this game because I feel like I want every SWAC team to win these FCS games that they play. But right now, with this game being on the road and it being so early in the season, Pine Bluff may not be playing at their best at this point. So I'm leaning on it this being more of a toss-up game, but I'm gonna go with Central Arkansas just because I think they're a pretty good team that a lot of people aren't talking about. So this is not an easy game for Pine Bluff. It's gonna be a battle. There's not a lot of love lost between these programs, as in most, although it don't get the hype that a lot of SWAC rivalries get. So I'm not saying this is like some big, huge rivalry or nothing like that, but when you play these teams who are your in-state opponents, there's always a little bit of an edge there because guys have played against each other in high school. Some guys know each other. Some of these guys that go to these schools like Central Arkansas and other schools, sometimes they want to go to the HBCU, but they didn't for whatever reason. So there's always an edge for those guys. A lot of people don't really talk about that, but I know there's an edge because I've heard it multiple times from multiple people from different schools. So this should be a very good game. I think it's a game that Pine Bluff can definitely show who they are, if regardless of the outcome. But right now, just because it's early, I'm gonna go with Central Arkansas. They come home on September 23rd, which is a Thursday, and they take on Alcorn. Huge game. Our season at home is a Thursday night. I wish it was a Saturday night because I think the atmosphere would be better on a Saturday night. But you do what the people tell you, right? This game should be an entertaining game. It should be closer than a lot of people think. I don't think Alcorn is hands down head and shoulders above everybody. I think Alcorn is a very good team, and I think they're gonna win the division. But I don't really think Alcorn at this point is just head and shoulders above everybody. If you're gonna get them, teams like Alcorn and Jackson, Alabama, and FAMU, Southern, those kind of teams. If you're not a team that's on the level with them early, then I think you need to beat them early when they're still working out some of the kinks. So this is a great time for Pine Bluff to get Alcorn, and it's at home. But I think this is going to be a battle. I think Pine Bluff is going to give it all they got, but I think Alcorn will survive and make it out of Pine Bluff with a victory. September 30th, another Thursday night game. Pine Bluff heads to Prairie View to take on the Panthers. Prairie View, Pine Bluff was a very entertaining game to end the season, the regular season in the spring. Prairie View, we don't know what they're going to do on offense. We know that they have some pieces that have transferred in. We assuming that a lot of those guys are going to start, although they may not. But defensively, we know Prairie View is very good, and they're going to be good. Pine Bluff, I get an offensive edge too, which I think is what's going to be the difference in this game. I think they'll be able to move the ball enough to win on the road at Prairie View, which sends them into a matchup against Alabama State. Pine Bluff was beating Alabama State when they played in the spring. That game got canceled after a quarter and a half. So we don't know how that game. Alabama State was winning the game when the game was canceled. We don't know how that would have ended. I kind of feel like the game was starting to turn a little bit when it got canceled, but we don't know how that would have ended. So Alabama State is another one of those under the radar type teams in the conference right now. Pine Bluff, to me, is the same. This should be a very physical game. I think these two teams are going to give it all they got. But I'm going to go with Alabama State at home. This is an honest toss-up game to me. This is probably as close of a 50-50 pick as I'm going to get. So I could easily go the other way, but I'm going to go with Alabama State. I love their defense, and I think their defense is probably going to be the difference in this game. And Ezra Gray at running back is a playmaker, and I think that he can make some things happen in this game enough for them to win. And it's at home, and Alabama State's a tough team to beat at home. The environment is probably one of the most underrated hostile environments in the conference. It doesn't get a lot of hype, but that program at home is dangerous. The crowd really gets behind them, and I think it's going to be a tough place to play for Pine Bluff. Then that sends them into the game that if you heard me talk on this show or any other time you heard me, I've said that most people in Baton Rouge have circled this game. They knew it was Pine Bluff homecoming probably before the people in Pine Bluff did. So I feel like a lot of people in Baton Rouge feels like this is a revenge game for Southern. I personally don't feel that way. I don't feel that Southern played well enough in that game to say this is a revenge game. They made a ton of mistakes in the first half and fell behind big and had the battle to come back. That was just an L that they took. So to me, this is just a game on the schedule. That's a huge game. And the last time Southern came into Pine Bluff was on the upswing. Southern was kind of, floating along, treading water, and Southern, kind of warmed down in the second half. I'm kind of feeling similar to that. I think Southern's going to win, but I think Pine Bluff is going to, as I keep saying, I think they're going to be in this game for the whole. I think they're going to be in this game to the end, and they could easily. I'm not going to say easily, but they could very well win this game. But right now, I think Southern is, a team that a lot of people are very high on, and they're playing. They should be playing well by this point, and I think they'll beat Pine Bluff in a close game. That I could be swayed to pick the other way when the season starts. October 23rd, they go to Little Rock to take on Arkansas. The only thing I can say positive about this game is that they don't have to go to Fayetteville. So this is it's not a neutral site. It's a neutral site, but this is a money game. They get the check and they're gonna move on. 30th at Texas Southern. Texas Southern is a team that I'm feeling is going to be on the upswing, but not yet. I think Pine Bluff's a much better team than them. No matter how much they improve at this point, I think Pine Bluff is better. So I think Pine Bluff will win this game. It could be close for a while, but I think Pine Bluff will win it. And then that sends them into the November 6th game at home against Grambling. Grambling is all over the place. Some people think Grambling going to finish high. Some people think Grambling going to finish 5th or 6th. I think Grambling's going to battle back from what they were in the spring because you just can never count out Grambling. But if the season is going bad for Grambling, this game is going to be ugly. If Grambling has found a way to reassert themselves and be that mid-pack, then this game is going to be a battle. But I think Pine Bluff will win it either way. I think they're right now a more solid and consistent team than Grambling because Grambling, all prediction-wise, is all over the place. So I'm going to go with Pine Bluff in that game. That sends them into the November 13th game against Florida and them. Florida and them is a team that's picked by many to win the SWAC, to win the East Division, to finish second in the East, to finish third in the East. So they're a top half for the East Division team at worst and a preseason SWAC champ by some people at best. So this is a team who is very good. Obviously, 2019, they felt like they were the best team in HBCU football. Offensively, they have a ton of weapons at receiver. Their running game is going to have to improve. Defensively, they're very good. They're physical. They're hard to run on. And they've really added some great pieces in their secondary, which I think is probably going to be what gives Pine Bluff the most problems. And the fact that their receivers are very good is going to give Pine Bluff some problems. So I think Pine Bluff is going to drop this game, and that sends them into their matchup against Alabama A&M on November 20th, which is a rematch of the SWAC championship. Now, the way my prediction is going right now, this isn't a very big game, but this could very well be a big game if Pine Bluff's playing better. Alabama A&M is going to win it. I think they're more experienced on offense, even though these two teams are good offenses. Pine Bluff's defense really is what kept them in the game. I think Alabama A&M's defense now would be better, so I think that'll get them an edge at home. So looking at my predictions, I'm saying Pine Bluff is going to finish 4-7. Now, before y'all come for me, yes, I said Pine Bluff is not going to finish 5th. I think they're going to finish 3rd. But looking at this schedule on paper and only on paper right now, on August 22nd, I can't predict them to beat the teams in front of them yet. But I do feel like they can beat those teams in front of them. All teams that they lost to, all teams that I predicted them to lose to, with the exception of the University of Arkansas, I think they can beat if things are going in their favor. Their schedule is very favorable. It's not easy, but they get FAMU, Alcorn, Southern, and you could throw Grambling in the mix because that's, a team that can be up or down. They get those 4 teams at home. So that's 4 really tough games at home in conference, but that gives you a better opportunity to win those games as opposed to having to go to Alcorn. And yes, they won in Baton Rouge in the spring, but that's not the same as playing in Baton Rouge in the fall. But going to Baton Rouge, Tallahassee, or Grambling, those are tough places to play on the road, and you're not going to win there all the time. Getting those games at home can change a couple of these predictions, depending on how Pine Bluff is playing. The East Division opponents are 2 of the top 3 teams in the division, so that's not an easy draw. So the schedule on paper is very hard. They have basically, I would say, basically they have for sure W, and that's Lane. Purview and Texas Southern are games that are not gimmies, but they're games that I would think they would be favored in. Grambling is a game, again, it's not a gimme, but I think they'll be favored. The Alabama State game is a total 50-50 toss-up. The Central Arkansas game is not a toss-up, but that's a game that I think that they could win if they play well. But right now, on paper, I'm going UCA. So my best case scenario for them would be 7-4. I think it's going to take a lot of work to finish higher than that. Although I would not rule them out of winning a couple of those home games against the top teams in the division on the other side. But 4-7 is the worst that I can go. I can't see them finishing worse than that. So just to be a little bit more on par with my pick, I'm gonna say they're gonna finish 5-6. I'm gonna give them another conference win, and they'll finish 3rd in the East. The West. They're gonna finish at least 3rd. I don't see them finishing worse than that. So, like I said, I'm really high on this team. Although record-wise and prediction-wise, it seems like I'm not. The schedule is just not easy. Their schedule is not being talked about by a lot of people because the tough games are spread out, but they have a lot of tough games. They're luckily at home, so things can change at home in the SWAC. So I think they'll be better than what I'm predicting. I would not be surprised if they finished in the top 2 of the division. I wouldn't even be surprised if they won the division. But right now, I just know, and I just know that they're not going to finish 5th place. I just know that for sure. So that's going to do it for today's show, and that's going to wrap up our tour around the SWAC. I can stop being the tour guide, man. I'm tired of driving. And we're going to talk some real live, actual, getting ready to happen football on Wednesday when we preview the MEX SWAC Challenge. So I hope y'all join me. Again, don't forget, live show SWAC Smoke on Thursday. Don't forget, man. It's going to be great. Y'all going to love it. So with that being said, I'm C. Wells, and I'm signing out, and I hope everybody enjoys their day.